Hey everyone. Okay, we're going to start today's lesson. It's called Properties of Similar Triangle. It's very similar to what we've already been doing, and we're going to start with the triangle proportionality theorem, which just states that if a line parallel to one side of a triangle intersects the other two sides, then it divides the two sides proportionally. Okay, let me show you what that means simply by doing example number 1. Okay, in this figure to the right, QP and ST are parallel. So mark your 2 lines parallel with the arrows. TQ is 4. TR is 2. And PS is 6. Find the length of SR. So we don't know SR, which is our X. So all this is saying is that if we have the 2 lines that are parallel, which we do, then it divides the 2 sides proportionally. So 4 and 2 and 6 and X are proportional. So all you have to do is set up a proportion. 4 over 2 equals 6 over X. Now you could also do 6 over 4 equals X over 2. So let's go ahead and solve our proportion. 4 times X is 4X. 2 times 6 is 12. Divide by 4, and X is 3. You probably could have been able to tell that just by knowing that half of 4 is 2 and half of 6 is 3. Okay, we're gonna do number 2 together in class. Let's go ahead and look at example 3. Is line P parallel to line Q? So now we're trying to figure out, are the lines parallel? We have all the sides. So the reason we would know they are parallel according to the triangle proportionality theorem that we just did is if these are proportional to these. So if we would set up 10 over 8, is that proportional to 5 over 4? Well, there's nothing to solve for, so we know if they're proportional by seeing, are these fractions congruent? 8 times 5 is 40. 10 times 4 is 40, so they're both equivalent to 40, and if you were to reduce 10/8, it does equal 5/4. So yes, since the sides are proportional, the lines are parallel. So that is the triangle proportionality theorem. Our next theorem is the 2 transversal proportionality theorem. Notice this is a transversal and this is a transversal, and you have 3 sets of parallel lines. So we're going to fill this part in. If 3 or more parallel lines intersect 2 transversals, so 3 parallel lines intersecting 2 transversals, then they divide the transversals proportionally. So again, today is all about setting up the proportions. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at, here is our 3 parallel lines. It tells us here that LI, MJ, and NK are all parallel, and they're being cut by the transversals here and here. So find LM. We're looking for this here. So it seems a lot more complicated than it is, but if you just look at it, you can set up the proportion very easily. X over 12 equals 5 over 9. There's your proportion. So cross multiply. 9x equals 12 times 5 is 60. Divide by 9. Okay, I know that's not going to go into 60 evenly, so I'm going to go to my calculator. 60 divided by 9 Okay, it's going to give me a repeating decimal, 6.6 repeating. So if I wanted to change this into a fraction, I would just press math, enter, enter, and it turns it into a fraction for me. Math, enter, enter. Okay? So 20 thirds is what x is equal to, or 6.6 repeating, which is actually the same as 6 2/3 if you wanted a mixed number. Okay, so we're going to go on to the back side. We're going to skip number 5. We'll come back to that in class. Again, you would just set up your proportion and solve, and I'll show you how to do that in class. We're going to move on to our last theorem called the triangle angle bisector theorem, which just states that if a ray bisects an angle of a triangle, so this is bisecting this angle right here, angle B, then it divides the opposite side into segments whose lengths are proportional to the lengths of the two other sides. I'm sorry, to the lengths of the other two sides. So what that means is that AB over AD is proportional to or equal to, okay, the side that is corresponding to AB is CB over, and the side that is corresponding to AD is CD. So AB over AD equals CB over CD. That would be our proportion. So looking here, find XY. XY is this side length here. And we know we're dealing with the triangle angle bisector theorem because this ray is cutting this angle in half, and we see it's bisecting because of the two arc marks here. So all it is saying, if we look back at our marks up here, this is corresponding to this side, XY is corresponding to XZ, and YW is corresponding to ZW, so set up your proportion. X over 4 equals 10 over 7, or you could do X over 10 equals 4 over 7. Okay, I also like to, this kind of makes a fun little ram head right here. So X over 4, 10 over 7. Or you could do it vice versa, 4 over X, 7 over 10. Or you could do X over 10 equals 4 over 7. There's so many different ways to set up your proportion correctly. So once you cross multiply, 7x equals 40. And then we're going to need to go to our calculators to divide by 7. So 40, let's clear this out. 40 divided by 7. It's going to give me a big long decimal. Let's go ahead and turn that into a fraction. Math, enter, enter on our calculator. 40 over 7. It doesn't reduce any more than that. Okay, so x equals 40 over 7, or we could have left it and rounded to 2 decimal places, which was 5.71. Okay, let's continue on with example 7. If you notice, this triangle looks really similar to this triangle over here. It's being cut by the ray. You have 2 congruent angles. 9 on this side, 12 on this side. These sides are corresponding. And the sides that are corresponding on the bottom are x, and this unknown right here, which is, we know that the whole thing, the whole entire blue part is 7 all the way across. We know this part up here is x. So when you know the whole thing and you have a part, how do you find the other part? You subtract. So this is 7 minus x down here. Take the whole, subtract the part, and you get your other part. So now we're going to go ahead and set up our proportion like we did here. X over 4, 10 over 7. So 9 over x, 12 over 7 minus x. And again, you could draw your ram horns if you want. Apparently the ram horn on the right is bigger. So 9 over x equals 12 over 7 minus x. Okay. So cross multiply our proportion. 12 times x is 12x. And then 9 times 7 minus x. So we're going to have to distribute here. Okay. So 9 times 7 is 63. 9 times negative x is negative 9x. And notice we have now a baby and a mama because we have variables on both sides. So this is the baby because it's a negative. We're going to go ahead and add 9x and bring it to the other side. This cancels. Oops, that doesn't cancel, does it? Messed that up. There we go. Cancels right here. So 12x plus 9x is 21x is equal to 63. Bring down your 63. And then divide by 21. And x is 3. So the only part that was different about this problem is we had to find this side here, which is taking the whole and minusing the part, 7 minus x. Okay, we're going to continue on. We're going to do number 8 in class, and then we're going to finish up right now doing example 9 together. In a new subdivision, there are 3 trapezoidal lots. These are trapezoids. Are 80 feet across the front, so 80, 80, and 80. The lot lines on the side are perpendicular to the front. Find the length of the property across the back of each lot. So we're looking for that back there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and find the total across the front of all 3 lots. So 80 plus 80 plus 80 is 240 feet. And we know that these are going to be proportional across the back, and the total is 330 feet, so we're going to go ahead and set up our proportion. So total is 240 across the front, over one of our lots is 80, is equal to, this was the total on top, so the total across the back would be 330 over one of the lots we don't know. We don't know what each one of the lots on the back are. But we're going to set up a proportion to find out. So cross multiply. 240 times x is 240x. And then 80 times 330, you can check that on our calculator. $26,400. And last step, divide by 240. So 26,400 divided by 240 is equal to 110. So each one of these is 110 feet long across the back. You could also see that each one of these are just 80, which is a third of 240. So 240 divided by 3 is 80. So 330 divided by 3, each one of these would need to be 110. There is a problem like this on your homework assignment, so make sure you use these notes to help you with that problem.